Hi, I'm Danielle and I'm a long-time Age of Mythology player. In this video I want to highlight the main gameplay differences between the Legacy version and the Retold version of Age of Mythology. The features mentioned during this video are accurate at the time of recording, but of course may change as the game goes through balance changes. I hope this video helps you discover something new about the Retold version of a beloved classic. Let's dive into the first difference. Previously, rechargeable god powers were limited to the Atlantean civilization, and there were a finite amount of times the god powers could be cast. Now, however, the amount of times you can cast any god power is only limited to the amount of favor you have stockpiled and the cooldown of the god power. Additionally, there is almost no limit to the amount of favor you can stockpile, so long games may see multiple plenty bolts, underworld passages, and meteors, meaning your game will never feel stale. To help speed up your ability to cast god powers, you can build a wonder. The wonder no longer provides a victory condition, but instead provides much faster and cheaper god power recharges. It also allows you to recast your Titan Gate. However, the cost of building a wonder is now much higher and it builds much slower. The Titan has also been updated. It can now walk through water and can walk over walls and foundations to destroy them. This makes the Titan much more versatile to play with. A new feature in Retold is the ability to place village centres. Unlike town centres, which must be placed on a settlement, the village centre can be freely placed anywhere on the map. However, they are much weaker than town centres, do not shoot arrows unless they have units garrisoned inside, and train villagers at minus 25% speed. Additionally, you cannot trade from your market to a village centre. The village centre will allow for some unique opportunities of securing resources when taking a settlement is not viable or not as fruitful of an option. Speaking of town centres, fortified town centres now give 10 extra population, and you can build 6 extra houses in Retold, meaning that if you take 3 fortified town centres and build all your houses, you will have a whopping 235 population limit compared to 160 population limit on Legacy with the same amount of town centres. Note that village centres do not contribute to this population cap, so you'll want to take some town centres if you want to boost your population. Aging up through your town centre or village centre now has different requirements. Aging up to the heroic age will require you to build an armory or a market, while aging up to the mythic age will require you to build a fortress-like building, such as the Migdol stronghold for Egyptian or the hill fort for the Norse. When you age up through the heroic or mythic age and you have a dock, you will now get a free water myth unit regardless of the civilization or minor god that you pick. This means that when you play water maps, you will no longer feel obliged to pick the minor god that offers a free water myth unit. On the subject of water, you could previously only build arrow ships in the classical age, while the melee and siege ships were reserved for the heroic age and up. This is no longer the case, as arrow, melee and siege ships will all now be available in the classical age, meaning that classical water fights will be more varied. One more note about water. There are new water maps which feature hybrid water. Hybrid water can be traversed by naval units as well as land units. You can also build directly on the hybrid water surface. This means you can place your docks right next to your fish spawn, or even place towers and other defensive buildings on the water to protect your naval assets. But beware, land units can now walk right onto the water and attack your naval units. In Legacy, you could auto-queue both economic and military units. This means whenever you had the available resources, the units would begin training from their respective buildings. The auto queue function still exists for your economic units such as villages, fishing ships, and trade caravans, but military auto queue is no longer available in ranked. However, military auto queue is an opt-in feature for single-player games and unranked multiplayer games, meaning you can customize your game to suit your playstyle. A quick tip: to auto queue units, you simply right-click the icon in the building. An even bigger tip though, if you love playing with auto queue, make sure you have the two auto queue settings enabled. The first ensures that auto queue is already on by default in your starting town center when your game starts, and the second ensures that every new town center or village center you build will have the auto queue enabled as soon as the building is complete. These settings can really help get your economy rolling. Another feature that can really help with managing your economy and your advancement is the ability to bind all technologies to hotkeys. Click the granary and spam those hotkeys to get your economic upgrades queued. Is it too tiresome to click each of those armory upgrades? More hotkeys. Another tip which is really useful is that you can now pre-queue any technology, including your age up, even if you currently do not have the resources to start researching it. To do this, right-click the technology you wish to research. As soon as you have the resources available, the technology will start training. This means that you can focus on your army and your micro without having to spam click the technology waiting for the resources to come in. Do note that pre-queued technologies take precedence over normally queued technologies, so if your pre-queued technology starts training, the normally queued technology will pause its training. One more economic tip before we move on. Did you know you can shift-click your farm placement on town centres, village centres, or any food drop sites to automatically place farms in an efficient pattern? This can really help speed things up. Okay, now onto some features for the competitively inclined. First off, all unit special attacks can be manually cast, and units with the jump ability can jump to targeted terrain, not just enemy units. This makes for some interesting raiding techniques, as you can jump over walls and other obstacles. Secondly, your myth units now scale in hit points and damage with each age up. This means your centaur raids can still be viable in later ages, and your trolls are just as formidable in the mythic age as they are in the classical age. Another quality of life feature, the building production menu is now combined. This means you can add any production buildings to the same control group and train any units from the same panel. A single hotkey press trains one unit, while shift-clicking a hotkey will train 5 of the same unit. Additionally, with your building selected, you can set a rally point on a unit. Doing so will add newly trained units from that building to the control group of the unit where the rally point is set. Something else that makes competitive gameplay more interesting, the attack move is now available. By default, attack move is bound to the spacebar or by holding Alt while issuing a move command. No more getting caught off guard when wandering into the fog of war. Two last points I want to make for the die-hard Age of Mythology fans. Projectiles can now always be dodged if you move out of the way quick enough. Ballistics can help counter this by allowing ranged units to track enemies, but the enemy can still dodge the projectile if they change movement direction after the projectile is launched. One more thing. Hunting dogs is no longer available in the archaic age, so be prepared to change your build order completely. Okay, let's move on to civilization-specific changes. First we have Norse. There are a few really nice quality of life changes with Norse, which includes the ability for villagers to build both ox carts and houses. This means no more stalled town centre time as you rush to replace a dead ox cart, and no more getting housed when your army is fighting on the front lines. Very handy. Norse also has a new building, the Great Hall. From the Great Hall you can train Herseer, raiding cavalry, Jarls, and Godi. Godi are a new ranged hero unit, which will help combat flying or ranged myth units. From the existing Longhouse, you can now train Throwing Axemen, Berserk, and Herdmen. The Berserk is a rename of the Ulfsark unit, while the herdman acts as an anti-cavalry unit. The Norse major gods have some unique perks too. Thor now receives a free dwarf for each armory upgrade researched. Loki's Eyes of the Forest technology causes nearby trees and animals to grant you temporary vision, and while Loki still gets his free myth unit spawns, any military unit can now spawn myth units, although Herseers contribute 5 times as much to the spawn rate. For Odin, the Great Hunt god power still multiplies Hunt, but you can also cast it anywhere on the map to summon new Huntables. Great Hunt also gets stronger in later ages. You might also notice that the Nidhogg has a new special attack that deals area damage along a path, and the Troll has a special boulder toss attack that deals splash damage. Over to the Egyptians, the first thing you may notice is that the monuments give new unique bonuses. For Ra, Pharaoh-empowered monuments empower nearby buildings to boost the rate of production, resource drop-off rate, and the attack speed of offensive buildings. Empowering a monument with your eyes as Pharaoh will give you an increased range on the god power shielding, heal nearby units, and generate favour 100% faster. For Set, your monuments reduce the cost of soldiers in nearby production buildings by 5%, and you do not need to empower your monuments to receive this buff. Now onto some notable technologies and changes for the Egyptian minor gods. Hathor has been renamed Sobek, and you will no longer receive a free rock upon aging up through this heroic age minor god. If you do choose to train and use a rock, you will also notice that you now have to land it to garrison units inside, and then deploy it again to fly. This will help make rock abuse a thing of the past. The Locust God power obtained through Sobek is now directional. Click once to set a starting point, and click once more in the direction you want the swarm to traverse. If you choose to instead age up through Nephthys, there is a new technology called Funeral Barge, which causes Leviathans to occasionally summon when your war barges die. In the Mythic Age, there are 2 interesting changes I want to mention. The Mummy Myth unit available through Osiris no longer insta-kills, but instead curses units. The curse lasts a short duration, but if these cursed units die while under a curse, they then turn into minions. This can be very powerful if you combine a curse with a high damage god power, as you can turn multiple enemy units into minions under your control. The last Egyptian change worth mentioning for now is Valley of the Kings technology, researched through Thoth. If you research this technology and empower your Migdol with a Pharaoh, you can now train 2 units for the price of 1. This is incredibly strong in the late game. On to the Greeks. The Greek heroes are iconic, and now in Retold they are even more impactful. Firstly, the Greek heroes can be simultaneously trained. This means you can train any of your Greek heroes from the town centre without interrupting your villager training queue or age up. You can even train all 4 heroes at the same time. Another nice boost to the heroes is the fact that all Greek heroes can hit flying units. You no longer have to train Odysseus to chase that pesky rock around the map. Any Greek unit can handle a flying unit. The last perk for the Greek heroes is the fact that they now regenerate. If we take a look at the god powers for the major gods, you will notice they look the same, but there are some subtle differences. Poseidon's lure not only attracts Hunt, but it also spawns chickens and it gets stronger in later ages. The lure also now acts as a drop site for food, so Poseidon can forego the granary in his builds. Hades' Sentinel has been upgraded slightly to allow it to be placed on fortresses and rotated with the mouse wheel. This allows for more decision making on where to place the Sentinel for maximum protection. There are a few changes on the minor god powers as well. Pestilence now prevents buildings in its range from firing projectiles and slows building production rather than stopping it completely. Curse no longer works on villagers, but it does work on myth units, and Bronze now also works on myth units. The duration of ceasefire has been reduced from 60 seconds in Legacy Age of Mythology to now 30 seconds, and you can still build offensive buildings such as fortresses and towers during this time, although at a much slower rate. There is also one Greek technology I want to mention: Argive patronage. Research through Hera causes your fortresses to periodically spawn myrmidons for free. This is not just limited to one fortress. If you build 10 fortresses, you will be spawning 10 myrmidons for free every 45 seconds, which is really impactful late game. Okay. Unfortunately, the Atlantean civilization is not available to play at the time of recording this video, so for now I have covered what I considered are the biggest differences between the Legacy and Retold version of Age of Mythology. I hope you have learnt something from this video, and I hope you enjoy playing the new game. There are a lot of new things to discover in Retold, so please leave a comment if you discover anything else new that you think is worth sharing. By the way, have you seen the new relics yet? Until next time, thanks for watching.